CC friends, I'm Allie and this week is Mr. El Greco. Here we have a painting of him and it's called Portrait of an Old Man. And they think this is a self-portrait. It says detail, meaning we can't see the whole picture, and it says presumed self-portrait. He forgot to sign his work. Don't you forget to sign your work. This painting is called The Holy Family with Mary Magdalene, and his style is very different than Mr. Michelangelo or the other artists that we've been studying. He's using a lot of intense colors and a lot more moody. See how the contrast, really dark, a lot of dark colors, but then we still have those pops of color. So let's learn a little bit more about him and see why we're using shoes today. On the back here, we have some information about Mr. El Greco. Let me attempt to pronunciate his name that was given to him. I know that I'm not going to get it right. I'll put it up on the screen so you can see it. But Dominikos Theotokopoulos, something to that effect. That's a mouthful. So he just became known as El Greco, which means the Greek. He was born in Crete in 1541. Not much is known about his youth, but they do think, based off of his painting, that he did receive training more in like the Byzantine style of painting, and he was probably a painter for his church. He left Crete and he went to go study art in Italy. A lot of these artists we've looked at were in Italy, remember? Michelangelo, Botticelli, Ghiberti. Well, it says that his career did not do well there, perhaps due to his arrogant criticism of Michelangelo. So that means he didn't choose kind words, and because of that, people really didn't enjoy being around him because he wasn't a nice guy, it sounds like, based off of this information. So he left. He moved to Spain. He was alive during the religious fervor of the Spanish Inquisition while that was going on. So a lot of his compositions, meaning his works, reflect the passions of that time and place. In his works, he combined that Byzantine and Western form, and they're very kind of solemn, elongated figures in his painting, using those bold colors that we talked about. See how dark it is? So we're gonna be doing elongated figures today, mimicking some of his, and how can we take, it's creating like that perspective, right? That we know that, you know, Mary is not this long, but the way that he kind of stretched her out to look. And this would have been in the church, so it would have been a very different angle. So here's two of his works. This one is called The Burial of Count Orgaz. Here's the Count. And then here we have, I guess, more of the celestial scene. And here is one that's more, it's a landscape, and it's called View of Toledo. But do you see, I mean, man, it looks like there is a storm brewing. And even though there's no figures in here, there is still like that elongation, as we can see with these buildings coming up. The supplies you're gonna need is going to be a large sheet of paper. This is manila paper. There'll be a link in the description where you could go and buy this, or you could get like the full sheet of construction paper, or if your feet are not that large, then maybe they would fit on a smaller sheet. We're just really trying to work on that elongated figure. So I'm using manila paper, Sharpies, and crayons, and a pencil to first trace so that we don't get Sharpie on our shoes. So let's get started. So you're gonna take your shoes off and we're gonna place them at the bottom of the paper. And you're going to spread them apart a little bit. And you want them facing up like this. Then we're going to trace around them. And this is where I would suggest the pencil. This is similar to what we did with Michelangelo's lesson where we were tracing the hands. So I thought this was kind of a fun way to end it, because now we're gonna have a moment in time caught with your hands the size that they are and your feet the size that they are. You see I have some bumpy lines here. This isn't smooth right here. So another good reason just to use the pencil. And now I'm gonna go over it with Sharpie, and then I can clean it up. And using the Sharpie, make sure that you've got another sheet of paper underneath or your table's protected. When I'm erasing, I'm not doing really big erases because sometimes your paper would move. So I'm doing short erases and holding my paper. This lesson can incorporate several different things. We're working on symmetry because what we draw on one shoe, we're gonna draw on the other shoe, right? Usually they're the same on both shoes. And then when we did dirt, that was the printmaker. So you have to do the reverse. So like if you wanted to write your name on here or do, let's say maybe on the bottom of your shoe, it says Nike. Most likely it's going to be done as like the reverse, because then when you were to step down like on the dirt, you would see Nike written correctly. So if you want to get that detailed, you can. Or you can just take it and you can use some of those oils that we've done. Before we get to that part, let's draw our elongated body. So first we're going to start with the pants. We're drawing all of the bodies in similar fashions, and then to personalize it, you can finish your head, you know, with your hairstyle and do different things for your clothing. Our shoes are the closest things to us. It's kind of like we're standing on a glass floor and being able to look up. So you're gonna come to the top of your shoes and we're gonna go a little bit above it, and we're going to do probably about 2-finger line. And that's gonna be your waist. Let me show you next to this one. So these were my shoes. This is my son's shoes. So I've got a little bit more room. I went above it. When I did mine, it's just sitting right at it. So just somewhere in this range. Next, we're going to connect it down to our shoes. So if you would like an adult to put a dot to where you need it to go, then you could do that. So you're gonna come down here, okay? Now we're going to come down. So this is like the exterior of jeans. Now we're gonna do the interior of them. And we're going to put a dot right here. And then we're going to draw our pant legs down again. So it's like the huge letter V. So again, if you want someone to put some dots, you could do like here and right here. And if it's not super straight, that's okay, because our pants usually have a little movement in them. So now we've got these long legs. All right, let's go ahead. We're gonna put our head and then connect it to our body, okay? So we're gonna leave about 4 fingers. I'm gonna draw my head up here, and my head is in the shape of a circle or like oval. And I don't want to draw my head really big because the head is the furthest thing away from this in this perspective. Okay. Then I'm going to give myself a neck. I've got to hold my head up. So I'm going to do line, little line, little line. To uncomplicate it, we're not going to draw our hands. You see how I did that behind. We're going to do the letter, we're gonna come out and do the letter V and connect it down here. So we're gonna do shoulder, come out, and connect it down. And again, this is an elongated picture. If it doesn't look like you, well, good, because I don't think you walk around and people looking at the bottom of your shoes. Now these are a little bit more bowed, that's more angled. It's okay, it's gonna be a little different each time. Now you decide if you want a scoop neck or a V-neck. And then we're going to come and do some lines on the side. So I came down from the top and I'm just connecting down there. And we're going to do some triangles to give that negative space of where our arms are. So a little triangle. And I'm gonna match it on this side. A little triangle there. I look a little muscular right there, but it's okay. Okay, now you're gonna personalize it in regards to what your hair may look like. So these are my son's shoes. So I'm going to do his hairstyle. He has curly hair on top, and then it's got it nice and tight on the sides. Do you see in my example right here, I just covered up my hair, but you can see his ears. So I'm gonna give him ears. They're like in the middle, and this is really far away, so I'm not going to like draw the whole eye. It's just gonna, it would be too hard to pull off. So we're gonna do dot, dot, and then give him a smile, okay? If you wanna use a pen to get some smaller detail in there, you could, but not with the Sharpie. Now we've got our elongated figure, and then you're going to come and put the detail on the bottom of your shoes. I'm gonna section this off because I probably don't have enough time to put all the kinds of texture on here. So what I do on one side, I'm going to do on the other. You could copy what it looks like on the bottom of your shoe, or you could be a shoe designer and make something up of your own. It almost looks like an eyes and a nose. All right, I'm going to attempt to write his name, but remember, or did I say this already? I think so. It would be the opposite way. So if I flipped it over, then, and if he was walking on the ground, it would have his name correctly. So I'm gonna try to do that again on this one. All right. Or, you know, maybe I'll try the dates. Ooh, that one's gonna be trickier. You know what I'm gonna do? Listen, 2022. This is the correct way. So I wonder if I flip it over, if I can see it. I can't, but you know what? It's okay. What if I do it on this side? 2022. Flip it over. Oh, I see it. 2022. It was harder for my brain to flip those numbers around. Okay. So now, make sure you put your name. If you put your name in the shoes, that's great. Or you can just sign it down here, put the date on there, and then use crayon and color your person. Don't worry about your shoes. Get the color on your person, and usually there's not a lot of color on the bottom of your shoes, and that's probably about what you'll have time for. But if you have time to do the bottom, then great, but focus on doing your person first. And I just use crayon. Crayon does great on here because we've got smaller things, then crayon will be able to get in there easier than oil pastels. To get these arms not looking so wonky, just go straight out and then make that sharp turn out and sharp turn in like we did here for the triangle. So it's like making that exterior triangle. Like, I don't love how that turned out, but it's okay. It's still great. It's still fun. Doing short strokes, not doing long ones, because I don't want to get onto my shoes here. But rotate that paper to work with the direction that you're needing to color. You know, I like to mix colors, so I've got gray here with the black, and I did push down hard with the red. I thought I was using a true red, but it ended up being a, what do you call it, a red violet to begin with. So I just went over it. So a fun lesson on perspective and mirror images, and also reversing, like when we did the printmaking. and really elongating the figure. So I hope you had fun studying Mr. El Greco. Don't ask me to pronounce his original name, but the Greek, and how he would use some intense colors and really elongated figures. Here's an example of my son's, well, he's now 15, but when he did this 3 years ago, he didn't get the memo of like, you need to do the reverse image, but he loves Georgia Bulldogs and Atlanta Braves and Nike. But it will look more realistic if you incorporate your words and put in some different textures on there. So, but it's okay. You still can execute the project and have fun. Oh, you know what? Let me show you how to do a lady's hair without the ears. So if you want to do the lady's hair and you don't want your hair to look like it's all black, then you're just going to do the outline. So let's say you've drawn, your hair swoops down, and then you come down to the side, and it's going to go behind your neck. So you come all the way down to your neck, and let's say your hair comes down like that. So you're doing the outline of your hair. Maybe your hair flips out to the side, or maybe your hair is curly. Then you would do neck. Then you could do curls, and then you could go back in and color it. Okay, so have fun.